Journal entry number 1. It is currently October 25th, 2024, and it's 1:02 a.m. Um, I just came from Abby's apartment, and I was about to stop here to do this, but then realized I had to pee really bad, so I went to mine, and I peed, and then I came back here, because I wanted to do it here, and I wanted to walk around while doing it because I've been doing these journal entries. I know nobody watching this has any idea about that, but I've been doing journal entries recently in my phone, just a recording, walking around like this in this type of area. And it's just been very clear. Like, my talking does not stop. I just continue on my flow, and it's been really nice. And I thought it would be cool if I recorded them and did not edit them whatsoever. Just like my actual conversational flow was put on YouTube to be for me to look back on. I don't think this is going to be picked up by algorithm or anything. Anyway, so reflecting on my day in this journal entry, it was interesting. I had a midterm today for biblical theology and social justice, and I did not think it was going to go well, but I think it actually did. It did go well, we're saying. And he grades late, so I'm not going to know, but we'll know, because we do know, because it's awesome and it went great. And I had a ton of other classes, and I visited Room in the Inn here in Nashville, and I think it was pretty cool, especially in comparison to, it's whatever's right next to it that's also helping people experiencing homelessness, and it was more like a prison, while Room in the Inn was like people could creatively express themselves and earn things for themselves, and they earn points and they can spend their points, and the walls are covered in color, which is what I cared about the most. Like, to be treated like a human is to be allowed to express who you are. There's the first deep topic of this journal. Because if you are not even given the right to see color, if an organization meant for helping people doesn't give the people color on the walls, from fear of them ruining it, from fear of them not taking care of it, as well as you and I, what does you and I have that these people don't? Just very dehumanizing. That's a popular word here. Because everybody deserves to be treated like a human. We are humans, okay? You are not better. I am not better. So, I guess, what does that even mean? What does it mean to be human? Can we define it? A big question that I have actually is, can you define being human without God? And what does that look like? Because God made us, God made me, who I am, made in His image, made with His creativity, made with Him. So, like, how am I human without God? And is there a distinction between human and God? Can we separate those parts of ourselves? Is that possible? Without backing theologically, because I'm not opening a Bible right now, this is just me externally processing and can later be proven correct or not or whatever, I kind of think there's no separation. It's impossible to be human without also being God. And not to say that God is self, because I don't agree with that. I think God is God and we are us. but we don't exist outside of God. Because I do believe that we are created in the image of God, which means that God poured himself into us to make us, and no matter what we're doing it because God allowed us to. If we are doing math, God gave you the brain to do math. If I'm painting a picture, God gave me the creative insight to paint that picture. Me doing this right now, talking, is because God allowed me to. So, the police officer is walking in front of me. I thought he was gonna come tell me to stop. All part of the journals. We're live and in action. But anyway, we are God. Like, his DNA flows within us. And there's just no separation. There's no separation. A murderer has God. Which, like, is hard to say, but, like, we have human nature, but I don't think human nature separates from God. I think human nature is our free will, and we can do as we please, and we can be tempted, and we can fall into dark ways, and, like, it's not who we are when we do that. Ultimately, who we are is only based in God and what God does and what God tells us. And yeah. Another reflection on my day is I only saw 2 of the people, and both of them are my friends. I hope that wasn't loud in the mic. I'm sorry. A preaching conference, and it was really, really good, and I actually think I got a lot of thought out of it, because one of my friends, when she was preaching, she preached about Tabitha, or Dorcas, and Tabitha is somebody in the Bible that I feel like the church ignores, and I don't think that's right, because Tabitha's story is so deep. It's not long. There's not that many verses, but it's so impactful. And it can so easily be looked over, but I think when the Bible has less, it's asking you to look for more. And I mean, I like all of the Bible is like that, obviously, but like when somebody is only mentioned for a few verses, which, like, there's other women, other people in general in the Bible that only have like a verse or a few verses, and I think that is calling us to investigate why do they have such a little amount when they hold such an impactful position. Like, Phoebe is a deacon. Why? So we can look into that. Like, I think that's cool. And with Tabitha, when I also preached on Tabitha one time, I'm not a pastor or anything, but like I preached, and it was on Tabitha, and what I took is that Tabitha lived a life almost under the radar, but not really, because people recognized her, but she was doing God's work. She wasn't doing God's work for attention, she was just doing God's work, and because she was, all these other widows, all these other women, took notice of her and took notice of her heart and wanted to do as she was doing. And I think that's awesome. Tabitha's mission was to just give out what she could give out. She made clothes for people. She gave out clothes to people who needed clothes. She lived as a servant to God. Awesome. Like, she was an awesome person. And like when I preached, it was about toes. Yeah, toes. And like it's hard to, I wrote a whole poem that's really long and I don't have it memorized, but like the pinky toe it only has one neighbor. The other side is just open because nobody could stand to be next to this pinky toe because they are so out there with their ideas and whatnot, and like just their way of life is so confrontational, and so I am correct. And one pinky toe is left, one is right. They both go opposite directions and neither of them can see eye to eye. You slowly get down, each toe gets less direct and more people-pleasing and whatnot to get to the big toes. I think Tabitha is a big toe. She does not cause ripples. She just calmly swims in the water. She floats on her back. She's just doing God's work as a big toe. And a big question when I was doing this and researching it and whatnot is that, do we all need to be big toes? Are we called to be big toes? Do we all need to just float on our backs? And I quickly took realization of how I am typically a pinky toe. I think in recent years, I've migrated to the toe next to the pinky toe, so I'm not quite there, but I was. And dab action. But yeah, like, I'm a pinky toe. And so I started reflecting on, like, is this okay? Like, am I doing what's right? Am I doing God's work if I'm a pinky toe? If I'm so confrontational and I don't take no for an answer and I keep pushing and I keep making waves and cannonballing all over the place. Is that okay? Am I faithfully living out my life if I am a pinky toe? The answer is yes, but the answer is not simply yes. The answer is only yes if you learn how to cross your ankles and push your feet together to where the two pinky toes have to meet and they have to see eye to eye if they're going to get anywhere. Because you see, as a pinky toe, you can fight as much as you want, but your point is not being heard by the other pinky toes unless you find a middle ground. It is up to you to find that middle ground. Otherwise, you are just wasting your life, making waves for no reason, upsetting people, and not giving them any actual solutions. You're like telling them a solution, but you're not giving it to them. And so that's what's complicated. It's hard to be a pinky toe living righteously. But if you are able to talk peacefully with pinky toes of the opposite side, then yeah, I think you can faithfully live out what God has for you. I think that could be pretty awesome. You could live a pretty good life. So no, we don't all have to be like Tabitha. And often, the people praised in the Bible for what they do are pinky toes. And I think that's why I think Tabitha is so important, because she's not. She is just her. She's not cutting people's ears off. She's not leading an army. She's not, by God's will, splitting a whole sea in half so a whole nation can walk through it. She's making clothes and giving them out to people who need them. And then, if you know the story, it goes on and Tabitha dies because she became sick and she dies. And in the room is her body and widows. And some of the widows went to get Peter and the disciple. And my friend that was preached on the widows and their perspective. She said, "Can you hear them weep? Can you hear it? Can you see what it looks like for them to grieve?" Her opening statement was, "I am grieving. Are you?" And I think this is such a good statement because it's not making an assumption about the audience. It's not saying, your generation has a problem with grieving. You are a problem and you need to fix it. It's saying, I'm grieving. I have a problem. I don't know what I'm doing. Are you? Let's think about it. Not everybody might fall under the same statement, therefore, a preacher should not assume that everybody will. So I think her opening was brilliant. I think it was so good. And this just brings me back. Because it was really good. And as these widows were weeping, they were grieving the loss of Tabitha because she was such an awesome person. We know this by the reaction they had. Peter gets there and he asks the widows to wait outside, and then he goes to Tabitha, her dead body, and he says, "Get up. Get up." And then Tabitha does. She wakes up. She is no longer dead. And this is incredible. It's literally like, what? And then, this next point is so good. The widows come in and they start crying and praising the Lord, and they go to spread this information. And the point of it is the widows put themselves in a situation adjacent to brokenness. They let themselves grieve. They let themselves sit there in this hurt and this pain. And because of that, they firsthand saw how God relieved the pain, how God healed the broken. Because these widows would not have seen that if they merely said, "She is dead, there's nothing we can do about it, she's gone," and they left. If they did not grieve, they would not have witnessed the healing of brokenness. And you can apply this to other parts of your life too. If you have family issues going on, imagine you place yourself adjacent to it. You are in it. You are a part of these family struggles. You're looking for answers. You're not finding them, but you're faithfully there. Think of how much more impactful that will be on you and your family for when the day comes of healing, compared to if you had distanced yourself from your family for so long, they hardly know who you are, and they find healing. It's just sad. You don't get to be a part of this miracle that you were intended to be a part of. So sometimes putting yourself in brokenness is good for you. And I think that is wild. I think that is a wild statement I just made. Good thoughts. Anyways, this is a long journal. Normally they do not go. Oh my gosh, we are at 18 minutes and 40 seconds. My longest one on the normal recordings were 16 minutes, and then 10 minutes, and then 6 minutes. I only did 3 of them. But here we are. Got me going. 29? 29? 29? I'm just watching New Girl, that's all. Anyhow, so this has been fun, and there will be more of these for me to watch in my future. But I think I'm gonna post one once a week, but I might record them more often than that. We don't know. But anyway, life is good. Like, there's parts of it that I wonder about, and like, how's that gonna work out? But it will work out. God is faithful and God is good. Yeah. This next year is gonna be interesting. Okay. I think that's gonna be cool to take myself and whoever's watching this along on that journey of this next year, because it's gonna be wild. So 52 videos later, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay. It's almost Halloween. I don't like Halloween. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Bye.